All right, recording. Get working. YouTube. All right, so what is affirmative action? We talked about this towards the end on Friday, and we discussed a lot about due process. What amendment again? Due process? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Zara? Yes, 14. Good job. Good. So we mentioned a few court cases about the due process and how it relates to today. You already good current event. I remember that. That was good. That was good. At first, I thought it was the same one that Jocelyn was gonna present today. Oh, it's like, wait a minute, wait a minute. No, it's different. That was different. That was good. All right, so think about the court case here, 1978, we talked about when it comes to college admission and affirmative action. So again, there's many opinions about affirmative action on both sides. It comes the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, but just hear what you have to say, right? Not getting any heated debates over it either, but I think it's important to talk about and discuss. All right, so when you think about college admissions, when you think about the workplace, okay, there's a lot to do with nowadays affirmative action. All right, I'll give you guys some time and we'll get to it. Oh, I do want to go over to the assignment. They're recreating the court case assignment, that video you had to make. I know I showed Jonah's, right, Katia? Yeah, showed his. It only has to be 2 to 5 minutes. And just think about the timing too. So events in history that was happening in the United States around that court case. So that's what I'm looking for. All right. So 2 to 5 minutes shouldn't be too terrible. We went over all the court cases. And listen here too, test. Thinking about having the test Wednesday because Olivia won't be here Thursday, Friday. I got something up my sleeve though for it that you guys might like. We'll see. Whoop. Maybe. All right. You guys some time. Dora, what's up? You're done. QA two are done, and then we can go. Cool. All right. So what's affirmative action? What we have? What is affirmative action? All right, Zara. Thank you.
Affirmative action is the attempt to prevent discrimination or
Yeah, good, good. Right. So when you think about the workplace, college, universities, post-secondary schools, they want to try to open it up for other minority groups and make a little bit more diverse. Right. So even in the workplace, when it comes to some certain companies, the idea is to make it much more diverse and offer more opportunities for minority groups. Obviously different sex, gender, and to welcome more people into it. Right. So over time, you can imagine, obviously, the United States, when it comes to affirmative action, certain minority groups weren't treated good whatsoever. When we talk about the Jim Crow laws, we mentioned about segregation in the United States a lot in this chapter, especially when it comes to due process. And this idea of affirmative action is to make sure that these minority groups that were forbidden opportunities, they give them the opportunities now, right? So many colleges, many universities, and like I said, many workplaces offer strict opportunities based off of when it comes to race or when it comes to gender, right? And there was a quota system in place until this court case. So the idea here of this court case is that Baker versus California, there's a student that was looking to get into the University of California, which is very prestigious, and he had the grades for it. He had the accomplishments, the accolades, and he didn't get it. And the reason for it is because he didn't fit the quota. And he argued against that. And the Supreme Court said, hey, colleges, universities, even workplaces, they should make opportunities for other minority groups or other sex when it comes to other sex women, right? And they should give equal opportunities, but at the same time make it more diverse, right? They said though that you can't go by this quota system, right? When it comes to 10% of the population that's accepted into the university, right? You can't just focus it around a certain race or gender, okay? So they said they're open to it, but at the same time, you can't go by this quota system. So you gotta imagine, he argued and said, listen, I have better grades than the majority of the people that are getting accepted. I think this is wrong, just based off of, the idea of, this is reverse racism, if you think about it. And he had a point, and that's what the Supreme Court obviously decided on with this court case. So when it comes to affirmative action, you can see why there's a push for it. But at the same time, you can see why many people that have and go by experience and merit-based opportunities, right? Why that's more important. And it's like, hey, I put the work in, I put the time, I dedicated myself. I should not be put on the back burner just based off of not checking the boxes of race and gender, really. So you can see why there's a big dispute about it. Even still to the day, right? There's a lot of arguments with DEI, right? Diversity, equity, inclusion. That happens quite a bit, right? Within a lot of companies, within a lot of universities and colleges. And this happened back in 1978. So even still to this day, there's a lot of concern around the issue of meritocracy versus affirmative action. All right, what do you guys think? What do you guys think here? Lazara, what do you got?
I just said basically that people think it's fair to get racism and sexism before refusing to hire, and it's meant to prevent that. And others think that it's not fair because it's hiring based on race and gender and not qualification.
Yeah, good, right? So, I mean, again, you can see the point of it, but at the same time, you might be taking opportunities away from someone that might truly deserve it, that has put the time, the experience in, and we see why it's a hot button issue still this day. Olivia, what do you got? Anything want to add to it? Katia?
No.
Not really. Violet? Okay, all right. So this is what we finished up with on Friday, okay? When it comes to due process, right, obviously people need to receive the same opportunities. Their liberties, their freedoms can't be taken away from them. And now as we're moving in past the civil rights movement here, right? Affirmative action was one of these topics of discussion, right? To make sure that people feel welcome here within our country. And when it comes to the workplace, when it comes to post-secondary school, that's where it comes up a lot. All right, so real quick, I just want to talk to you guys about the assignment one last time, because when I looked at the discussion post, which maybe I didn't talk about, I didn't see anybody choose a court case or who they're working with. Oh, you didn't hit reply? All right, hey, well, no one else did, so I guess you're okay right now, but first come, first serve. Olivia. All right, so here's the assignment again when it comes to the reenacting the court case. We discussed a lot of them. Again, be careful. Obviously, some of these court cases detail around a lot of concerning topics. So be careful, and especially with some of the language that's presented in these court cases. Right? I don't want you to feel uncomfortable or put you in a bad or different situation. So again, the idea here, introduction, make sure you present the timing of it. So with Tinker versus Moyne, right? You remember the black armbands? Yeah. What event was happening that Tinker was trying to express her and their friends' opinion about? Caden? Yeah, what war? Not Ukraine, no.
I said Iran.
What's that? Iran? No, no, no. What?
Iraq.
Iraq? No. 1960s and the 1970s, Azara?
You know,
The Vietnam War. Yes, good, good. All right, so think of the timing. Okay, you can see maybe a divide here when it comes to politics and how it plays a role in an event like this. All right, so make sure you guys present what was happening during the time. A lot of them around civil rights movements, okay? And Vietnam War, that's a good example too, right? Then case summary, just detail about the case itself, right? The important significance of it, right? Obviously, a lot revolving around your constitutional freedoms when it comes to freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, the press, you name it, right? 80 due process, there's a lot. Results, make sure you include the results. And then what one of these judges said about it, right? So remember how we broke down those case studies? And I give you those assignments. It was a court case, you answer a few questions. Right, they always give you an opinion by the judge that details about the case itself. That's what I'm looking for. There's something important about it. Then just break it down for us. I know a lot of the language used might be difficult, so simplify it for us to understand. Okay, because you're presenting it to us. Conclusion. So summarize it, maybe to set some, some precedents for court decisions later. Okay, or maybe a reverse one, who knows? Right? There's always a means behind these cases that is important, like the lemon test, right? The Tinker test. These are examples here where they can utilize it later down the line and say, hey, do they cross the lines? Maybe not, maybe not. All right, and finally, research and evidence. Make sure you just cite an MLA format. Okay. Don't just put the link up there, yeah? All right. Yeah, too often. He's not afraid of something. Insane. All right. So here are the court cases, guys, that are listed at the bottom. I organized it for you based on free speech in school. Boom, there you go. There's a list of them. Establishment clause, free speech and assembly outside of school, freedom of the press, and then when it comes to segregation and discrimination. Okay, so like I said, be careful though, be careful. Some of the language used and scenarios, maybe events happening, could be a little touchy. All right, so when you pick your court case, just make sure you reply to the discussion post. All right, that's important because if you don't, then no one really knows what you're going to research. And if you have that listed, then someone else can cross the other one off the list. Does that make sense? Got it? All right. So let's see who did yet. I don't know. Let's see. See the discussion post. Oh, perfect. Azara, you got West Virginia versus Barnett. Good. Olivia, Tinker versus Des Moines. Okay, good. Yeah, good job, Olivia. If you're working with someone else, just put their name beside it. Okay, then you're good.
that's class.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, only if they're in the class. Yeah, if you want to work with, I don't know, a friend,
I put her name anyway.
yeah, brother, sister, if you want to get them involved, because well, let's face it, might be hard to get with people. Might be hard to get with people after school. That's boring. So, Yari, what's her eye? And ask her to be in the video. She good? She good with this? Yeah, be perfect. All right, so there's the list here. Just once you get it, then obviously cross it off. Okay, once that court case is already picked, forget it. And finally, here is your study guide. All right, so the study guide is listed here. Now, there is a lot of court cases. As you can see, holy cow is right. So there's a study guide. Now here, hold on.